by the Ghana Revenue Authority, Gold PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Services, Network Services, Meridian Port Services, and Phoenix Insurance. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA, and our media partner is the Business and Financial Times BNFT. Get the Thursday edition of BNFT, and for more on this evening's discussion, remember that you can join us live at all our social media platforms. On Facebook, we are streaming live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, also at the Port of Tema, and on YouTube, we're streaming live at Eye on Port. Remember, you also get the opportunity to interact with us via our dedicated WhatsApp line is 0538037353, 0538037353. We will also open the phone lines in the course of the show for you to make your contributions towards the discussion. So grab your phones, let's get interactive. Today, we have some very, very interesting insights for you on Iron Port. Please stay with me, I'll be back shortly.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP, Wufilia, huh? Wubefeel. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Welcome to today's edition of Serene Insurance Business News. We present to you Serena. You're right. You can complete an entire insurance process for the purchase of any motor and other insurance products, from onboarding to issuing a motor insurance sticker and policy certificate, all on WhatsApp in less than 10 minutes. Serena is simple to use and it prioritizes user ease and flexibility. You can either use voice notes or text to effortlessly issue your instant policy, cross-platform renewals, claims, and also process your payments through mobile money, Visa, and MasterCard. To engage Serena, just search for Serena Insurance on all social media handles and scan the Serena barcode or save her number 0500 517 114 and start chatting her on WhatsApp immediately. There you have it. Serena is not just a tool, it's an innovation by Serene Insurance designed to redefine how motor and travel insurance are accessed and managed. Speed, convenience, and reliability.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
At Phoenix Insurance, we make the unpredictable predictable and the uncertain certain with our range of products, including motor insurance, fire insurance, engineering insurance, marine insurance, accident insurances, and all types of bonds. We have you covered. We also support you with risk management advice to enable you stay focused on your business. Take a policy with Phoenix Insurance today. We help you rise from adversity stronger and more secure. Contact us on 0302 246319 or 0302 246644 or any of our branches, agencies, and brokers spread across the nation. You can as well connect with us on our WhatsApp chatbot. EFIBA is waiting to assist you. Make the future predictable with Phoenix Insurance. Phoenix Insurance, a delightful service experience delivered with wisdom.
Implementation of axle load regulation by Burkina Faso. The attention of all stakeholders, particularly those engaged in the transit trade, is drawn to the decision by the government of Burkina Faso through the Burkina Faso Road Safety Authority to commence the implementation of UEMOA Regulation number 14/2005 CM UEMOA effective September 1, 2025. This regulation seeks to harmonize standards and procedures for controlling the gross weight, axle load and dimensions of heavy goods vehicles across UEMOA member states. Transitional measures. Effective September 1, 2025, all non-compliant trucks, domestic and foreign, will be denied access to Burkina Faso's road network. All stakeholders are strongly advised to take note of this directive and comply accordingly. This enforcement will also apply to transit vehicles using Ghanaian ports en route to Burkina Faso in order to prevent delays or denial of entry at the border. Scam alert. It has come to the attention of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority that certain unscrupulous individuals are fraudulently using the name of the authority to deceive and defraud members of the public. These individuals have circulated a post on social media falsely claiming that GPHA is currently conducting a recruitment exercise and urging the public to engage with them. We wish to state emphatically that GPHA is not conducting any recruitment exercise at this time, and the authority has not authorized any individuals or entities to advertise or facilitate such activities on its behalf. We urge the general public to disregard these fraudulent messages and to verify any official communication directly through our authorized channels. GPHA remains committed to transparency and will always communicate legitimate opportunities through its official website and recognized media platforms. And so throughout the week, a lot has been happening at the port and the maritime industry. Here is our way of updating you of those happenings.
The United Nations Global Compact Ghana, in collaboration with the Ocean Centers, has organized a one-day workshop that brought together key stakeholders in the maritime industry to deliberate on strategies for enhancing sustainability and safety in shipping operations. The workshop, held under the theme, Navigating a Safer and Greener Future, Integrating Sustainability and Safety in Port and Shipping Operations, highlighted the urgent need for collective actions to promote greener practices and ensure safety across the sector. In his opening remarks, the Executive Director of UN Global Compact Ghana stressed that building a resilient blue economy requires the active involvement of all stakeholders, warning that isolated efforts would not yield meaningful results. The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Professor Ransford Edward Jampo, underscored that sustainability and safety are inseparable, urging the industry to fully embrace greener operations in order to unlock long-term benefits.
Multinational buyers are already requiring lower carbon logistics as part of their supply chain standards, and we in Ghana Or Ghanaian shippers, we must position ourselves to meet these demands or risk exclusion from premium markets. Very important.
The Estate and Environment Manager at the Port of Tema, Mr. Andy Beko, outlined ongoing initiatives by the Port Authority to advance sustainability and green shipping.
The Port Authority has made huge investments in energy efficiency and green operations. Now, these investments include the replacement of fluorescent tubes with LEDs. We've also installed motion sensor switches in our offices so that if there is nobody in the office, the lights will go off on its own. We've piloted the use of solar energy in some of our offices. If you come to our headquarters, all the lighting systems in our headquarters are solar. We have our plants on the roof.
The Executive Managing Director of Prime Ship Management Limited, Captain Edward Aben, called on Ghana to take a leadership role in driving the green transition. He emphasized that a safe and well-protected workforce forms the foundation of a competitive and resilient maritime sector.
This sector is growing at an unprecedented pace. With the expansion of the Tema port, our container traffic has increased to over 70% since 2019, handling more than 1.7 million TEUs last year. We are now a dominant transshipment hub in the region, whose container trade is projected to grow by 5% annually over the next 5 years. As I said earlier, this growth is not guaranteed. Our competitors in the region are also making their own green and safe investments.
The Ghana Shippers Authority (GSA) and the Niger Shippers Council have signed a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) following days of interaction and negotiations in Accra on Tuesday, September 30th, 2025. The signing of the MOU aims to strengthen the strategic collaboration that has existed between the two countries for many years in order to promote efficient, competitive and mutually beneficial shipping and logistics services. The signing ceremony brought together top executives from the Ghana Shippers Authority and members of the Niger Shippers Council. The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Professor Ransford Jampo, indicated in his remarks that the passage of the GSA Act 22 allows the authority to play a more active role in facilitating transit cargo along Ghana's trade corridors.
I'm confident that this new mandate will not only strengthen the authority's capacity to support your international trade, but also enable us to deal more decisively with the challenges that have long impeded the smooth functioning of the transit trade regime in Ghana.
He emphasized that under the auspices of the Ministry of Transport, the ongoing construction of the Buankra Integrated Logistics Hub Terminal will benefit the northern and neighboring southern nations, including Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger, by boosting trade. The Director General of Niger Shippers Council, Colonel Major Sule Ibrahim, expressed Ghana and Niger's historic and strong relationship and emphasized the importance of the MOU between the two countries, which would further enhance cooperation, streamline procedures and improve trade along the Ghana-Niger corridors. He stated that speed, cost and security are critical to corridor competitiveness and called for a joint effort to reduce delays and illicit charges.
Les relations entre le Ghana et le Niger datent depuis très longtemps.
The historic and strong relations between Ghana and Niger, supported by a vibrant Nigerian trading community in Ghana. Also, he underlined the importance of the updated Memorandum of Understanding, which will enhance cooperation, streamline procedures, and improve trade fluidity along the Ghana-Niger corridor. The revision of the MOU follows recommendations from the Niger-Ghana Permanent Joint Commission for Cooperation in May 2023. Moreover, he emphasized that speed, cost, and security are key to corridor competitiveness, calling for joint efforts to reduce delays and eliminate illicit charges. The Director General acknowledged Ghana's vital role in supporting Niger and other Sahel countries during ECOWAS sanctions, stressing the strategic importance of the Ghana-AES alliance.
C'est pourquoi notre espoir se fonde sur le corridor Ghana-AES pour en faire le principal corridor de transit et d'échange des pays du Sahel.
The newly appointed Danish ambassador to Ghana, His Excellency Jacob Leinhoff, has paid a working visit to the Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Brigadier General Paul Seydou Tanyekulono, to reaffirm and strengthen the long-standing maritime partnership between Ghana and Denmark. The visit, which formed part of the ambassador's early engagement since assuming office, highlighted the strategic importance of Ghana's ports in regional trade. He expressed Denmark's keen interest in consolidating a decade-long cooperation with Ghana's maritime sector, emphasizing that the partnership, anchored on training, knowledge transfer, and technological innovation, was ready to evolve into new areas of collaboration. Discussions centered on capacity building in tugboat and pilotage operations, where GPHA personnel have benefited from specialized training in Denmark over the years. The two sides also explored opportunities for advancing digitalization in port processes and adopting global best practices in green port infrastructure and sustainable port management.
And I have been briefed a little bit about what we have been doing together for the last years, and it's very much on the training and the education side, right? What you call tugboat pilots, right?
Pilots and tugboats.
Yeah, has been a key area of collaboration.
Brigadier General Tanyekulono welcomed the ambassador's assurance and underscored GPHA's readiness to embrace initiatives that enhance efficiency, sustainability, and competitiveness of Ghana's ports.
I'm sure in the next 15, 20 years, there wouldn't be any port that will still be using fossil fuel. So this is an area that I think we are very much interested in.
Prior to his West African appointment, Ambassador Leinhoff had served in Asia and the Middle East, building extensive diplomatic experience, which he now brings to strengthen Ghana-Denmark maritime relations.
Welcome back. We hope you've been updated on happenings at the ports this week. And of course, our discussion today is going to be in two parts. The first part will highlight the crucial topic of objective reporting on maritime issues, from piracy to pollution, trade to technology. We'll be navigating the complexity of the ocean's vast resources and the people who work on them. Now, the second part would also be on another paramount issue of overcoming shipping bottlenecks in Africa's agricultural supply chain. And as always, I have the men who will be delving into all the issues and answering all the questions bothering your mind. They will be joining me very soon in the studio. But first, I've been joined by Lawrence Dogli, who is the programs manager at the Gulf of Guinea Maritime Institute, to discuss how we can actually enhance maritime reporting. Mr. Dogli, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Aisha.
Right, of course, you know that maritime industry is a complex web, and definitely we believe that informed reporting is key to safer, more secure maritime environments. So this evening, let's highlight the strategic importance of the maritime sector in Africa, the challenges of media coverage in this highly specialized space, and how we can strengthen the capacity of journalists to enhance public awareness. So let's get the ball rolling, Mr. Dogli. First of all, I just want us to start by understanding why the maritime sector is so important for Africa, particularly Ghana, at this time.
Well, thank you very much, and a good evening once again to your viewers. So across the globe, right, the maritime industry is the backbone of various economies, right? Talk about the Gulf of Guinea region, a very strategic region, the Atlantic Ocean coast, stretching West and Central Africa, inhabiting 23 countries, Senegal all the way down to Angola. It's a very contested and competitive region, known for its strategic international routes, huge deposits of hydrocarbons, as well as fisheries reserves and stocks, right? You have various partners contesting for interest, mostly economic interest in these regions, for shipping activities, for oil and gas explorations, for fishery stocks. And so this is a very strategic area where various countries, talk about Senegal, the economy of Senegal relies heavily on fisheries, talk about Nigeria, oil and gas, talk about Ghana for shipping. And so this is a very contested area. You have international shipping companies that are using this same region to move goods and services across different continents globally, right? And so it's a very, very important region. Now, back again to the maritime industry. We've had governments, presidents that have come and tooted about the importance of industrialization, right? The previous president talked about it. It was a huge part of his agenda. And then you have the president, the current president of Ghana, also talking about industrialization. And the maritime industry, I believe, is the one industry that several industries rely on, right? And so industrialization for any country at all to be able to move forward in terms of industrializing its service sectors must make sure that the maritime industry, the infrastructures are there to move this, the operations or the activities of the various sectors. Talk about construction, manufacturing. All of these sectors depend on the maritime industry, or let's say the port industry, for importing products to remanufacture into finished goods and then sell them to end users or consumers, right? In the last 7 years, you've had the World Bank report talked about or highlighted Ghana's industrialization growth, right? Between 2016 to 2023, the industrial sector has contributed to Ghana's GDP. In 2016, it was about 24.3%, and it's moved to 33% in 2024. And we are talking about growth successes in job creation, in export diversification, and also in value addition, right? Quite recently, I mean, this year, the president of Ghana has launched the 24-hour economy. That's also supposed to boost industrialization.
Sure.
And so these are, the maritime industry cannot be looked away when it comes to economic development, sustainable economic development.
But we're talking about challenges facing the maritime industry. We're talking about security, we're talking about the blue economy, we're talking about environmental protection. I mean, from your own perspective, how informed is the public?
Well, to an extent, I think that in the last decade, we've seen a lot of improvements. I mean, from our perspective, right, in terms of engagement with other partners, trying to collaborate and see what best we can do, the programs and projects that we can develop. There is a level of interest and appreciation of the maritime industry, but there's still room for us to do more. Looking at the various sectors, let me just touch on the fishery sector, since you are talking about challenges. We are facing issues of harmful fishing practices, overcapacity, and then overfishing, right? Within the coastal regions, within the coastal communities, these are vulnerable groups of people that understand and appreciate what the region or what the ocean means to them. Okay. But beyond that, coming to the more urban areas, these are some of these areas that we need to look into. I think that various institutions have done a lot of work in terms of raising the awareness of the maritime industry or the ocean opportunities. Talk about Ghana Shippers Authority, Ghana Maritime Authority, the Gulf of Guinea Maritime Institute. We've organized several ocean literacy campaigns across high schools to educate young people and even working professionals on the importance of the industry. And so to an extent, I think that there's the interest, there's the appreciation. But also bear in mind that this industry is a very technical and specialized one. Even for those that want to work in the industry, once they get in, they realize that at some point they need to get some kind of special training to be able to fit in and also contribute. And so there's work is to be done. There's some level of improvement. Again, talking about the fisheries sector, you have a new minister that has come in here in the recent accountability series. She's announced a number of good reforms. And I think that goes on to tell, to an extent, how updated they are on the very issues, the challenges that we face in the ocean space, right? She's done, they recently passed the Fisheries and Aquaculture Bill by the Ghana Parliament. They've also ratified the World Trade Organization's agreement on fisheries subsidies, and then they've also launched the first Ghana Marine Protected Area. These are areas of legislation, international compliance, and ecosystem protection. So these are challenges that we've identified when it comes to developing the ocean space. And there are various interventions, both on the national level and at the institutional level, to address some of these issues.
You're mostly concerned about coverage of this area. And just as you rightly put, it's a very complex area and very technical. Why has it been difficult for the media to offer coverage that really resonates with the wider public? Do you know?
Well, so there's a school of thought that believes that if we increase the coverage, then automatically you will have people willing to participate in maritime affairs or ocean matters. And so by this logic, if there's increased public awareness, and then there's going to be a surge in maritime opportunities. But that's not the case. And I've just mentioned that because of the technical nature, it's a challenge for media people to be able to report on the very detailed details of the issues, right? There are certain terminologies, there are certain concepts, there are frameworks. The maritime industry is governed by so many frameworks, right? On the international front, on the national front, and the regional front. There are so many frameworks. The ocean space is vast. It's also interlinked. There are different countries that are sharing a common space, and they have to work together. So there's a framework that guides how these member countries in the Gulf of Guinea work together. And so these are some of the intricacies that the media people are not really exposed to. So it's more of reporting than investigating the issue.
Okay.
Right. And so that is the challenge. It's a technical area. It's a very specialized area. And you have media people who are coming from different backgrounds but don't have the technical knowledge of the industry. And I think that is the major challenge for media people.
Well, thankfully, there's an upcoming training for journalists. Tell us more about what to expect at this training session.
So thank you for this opportunity. So next week, we are organizing a maritime training program for journalists and media practitioners on 3 key areas: maritime security, safety, and blue economy. We have different resource persons who have worked in the industry for so many years and have vast experience in the sector. And they are going to be talking about the various concepts, the themes, the frameworks, the challenges that the region faces when it comes to maritime development. It's a 3-day program. It's being funded by our partners, the European Union and Expertise France. There are various interactive sessions. There will be practical sessions, case studies on various issues. Talk about the governance of the ocean space, the legal aspects in terms of the legal arrangements, and also the data techniques and some of the strategies for carrying out investigative journalism with particular interest to the maritime industry.
Let's look at some of the themes. I mean, the bigger picture is safety, blue economy, environmental protection, but let's look at some of the themes that participants will be exposed to at this training.
So, so we are looking at the governance of the ocean space, right? There is in the past, there's so many frameworks have been developed. We are talking about the Africa Integrated Maritime Strategy 2050, the African Union Agenda for 2063. We have the National Integrated Maritime Strategy. We have the Yaoundé Code of Conduct. These are all frameworks that guide how we address issues of security, environment, and blue economy. And these are some of the topics that we'll be exposing these journalists to.
Let's look at what this training will do to the journalists. How do you expect this to change the narrative?
So the goal of this training really is to raise the importance of the maritime industry to these journalists, right? We are looking at how we can enhance ethical journalism and responsible reporting. Like I said, it's not just about reporting issues, but being able to research and verify maritime information, bearing in mind that this information should be communicated in a way that resonates with the general public, right? So we are talking about reporting in a way that the average Ghanaian can find meaning or can find value in what is happening in the industry. At the end of it all, what you are most interested in when it comes to media and the media people in the maritime industry is how they will be able to communicate the issues and the activities going on in the industry in such a way that the ordinary citizen can understand how this industry contributes to their daily life.
One of the concerns has been how objective the media has been in reporting issues concerning the maritime industry. You listen to other media houses, especially from the Western world, and probably they report negatively about us. Let me use Ghana as a case study. And then you find Ghanaians also reporting and then focusing on the negative aspects. Well, when we have a lot more positives that we can focus on, how are you going to actually reorient the journalists at this training to ensure that they are objective and they keep their eye on more of the positives than the negatives?
So there are very two technical sessions as part of the training that is supposed to address or deal with these interests or this question that you've asked on data technique, journalism techniques, and then investigative journalism. The key is to be able to research and verify information and not being biased about the issues. So independent reporting, independent research, and verifying maritime information before reporting. I think these are the key elements that can address the issues of negative reporting.
Okay. One of the things that really caught my attention is the focus on women. And we've already hammered so much of it that we need more women to be in this industry because it looks like it's a male-dominated area. How are you going to do this to whip interest from our female counterparts to be more interested in this field?
So first of all, the maritime industry obviously is male-dominated, but in recent times, there are a lot of efforts, interventions being made to include more women in the maritime industry. We've seen appointment of women in various strategic positions in maritime institutions. Coming to this training, to be more specific, we were concerned about diversity and inclusion. And so half of the trainees that are participating in this training, right, are women, including young women and students. And so we want to give the opportunity to women to also participate in this training. We are not only concerned about the training, but also developing professional pathways for these young women. Some just have backgrounds in journalism, general journalism, but we are more interested in how they can take up professional opportunities in maritime journalism. That is the key. And so I believe that this is one of the ways that we want to be able to promote women in the maritime industry.
Why is it even important to promote women in this industry?
Women have certain characteristics that they bring to the table, to institutions, to working environment. I think one of them is negotiation skills. We've seen how successful that has been in peacekeeping operations in the maritime security sector. And so we think that, yes, women have certain skills that are very relevant to various activities and various institutions in the space. Talk about the fisheries sector. Women play a very crucial role when it comes to the fisheries value chain, from fish processing, trading, to sale. These are very crucial areas that support livelihoods and employment, and women play a very important part in these sectors, right? And so women are very important. They play a very important role in our society, and it's very important that we find ways of providing opportunities for women to participate.
I'm sure this is not just a training that will just end everything, but this will tie into a broader picture.
Yeah.
How does this initiative actually tie into the international efforts? For instance, the EU's actions on maritime safety, security, and ocean governance?
So the EU, let me also mention that this program, this training program, right, is under the EU project on enhanced maritime action in the Gulf of Guinea. Some of the objectives, or one of the objectives of this program, is to establish networks, not just in Ghana, but across the region, where media people can collaborate with other media people who have more experience in reporting on maritime issues in the Gulf of Guinea. So we want to be able to create that network where there will be more interactions and collaborations among media people. Also talking about between the media and then institutions. So we are looking at institutional collaborations between the media and maritime institutions and the agencies that play a role or that work in the maritime sector. So in the long term, we are looking at various partnerships that we can build on and then push the agenda forward on maritime reporting.
Right. Grateful for your time. Lawrence Dogli is Programs Manager, Gulf of Guinea Maritime Institute. I'm very happy that we're able to explain all of this to our viewers, because we've already agreed that this is a very important aspect of the whole maritime industry, because if we do not report on the issues accurately, we will be misleading the public and will not be doing any good service to our ocean. So thank you so much, and we look forward to that training. When I return from this break, of course, agriculture remains the backbone of many African economies. But yet, shipping and logistic bottlenecks continue to undermine the full potentials of the sector. Inadequate cold chain undermine the full potential of the sector. High freight rates, limited shipping connectivity, and poor hinterland transport networks all contribute to high costs, post-harvest losses, and reduced competitiveness of African agricultural exports. My guests will delve into this topic shortly after this break.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP, Wufilia, huh? Wubefeel. Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Welcome to today's edition of Serene Insurance Business News. We present to you Serena. You're right. You can complete an entire insurance process for the purchase of any motor and other insurance products, from onboarding to issuing a motor insurance sticker and policy certificate, all on WhatsApp in less than 10 minutes. Serena is simple to use and it prioritizes user ease and flexibility. You can either use voice notes or text to effortlessly issue your instant policy, cross-platform renewals, claims, and also process your payments through mobile money, Visa, and MasterCard. To engage Serena, just search for Serena Insurance on all social media handles and scan the Serena barcode or save her number 0500 517 114 and start chatting her on WhatsApp immediately. There you have it. Serena is not just a tool, it's an innovation by Serena Insurance designed to redefine how motor and travel insurance are accessed and managed. Speed, convenience, and reliability.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
At Phoenix Insurance, we make the unpredictable predictable and the uncertain certain with our range of products, including motor insurance, fire insurance, engineering insurance, marine insurance, accident insurances, and all types of bonds. We have you covered. We also support you with risk management advice to enable you stay focused on your business. Take a policy with Phoenix Insurance today. We help you rise from adversity stronger and more secure. Contact us on 0302 246319 or 0302 246644 or any of our branches, agencies, and brokers spread across the nation. You can as well connect with us on our WhatsApp chatbot. Efiba is waiting to assist you. Make the future predictable with Phoenix Insurance. Phoenix Insurance, a delightful service experience delivered with wisdom.
Implementation of axle load regulation by Burkina Faso. The attention of all stakeholders, particularly those engaged in the transit trade, is drawn to the decision by the government of Burkina Faso through the Burkina Faso Road Safety Authority to commence the implementation of UEMOA Regulation number 14/2005 CM UEMOA effective September 1, 2025. This regulation seeks to harmonize standards and procedures for controlling the gross weight, axle load, and dimensions of heavy goods vehicles across UEMOA member states. Transitional measures. Effective September 1, 2025, all non-compliant trucks, domestic and foreign, will be denied access to Burkina Faso's road network. All stakeholders are strongly advised to take note of this directive and comply accordingly. This enforcement will also apply to transit vehicles using Ghanaian ports en route to Burkina Faso in order to prevent delays or denial of entry at the border. Scam alert. It has come to the attention of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority that certain unscrupulous individuals are fraudulently using the name of the authority to deceive and defraud members of the public. These individuals have circulated a post on social media falsely claiming that GPHA is currently conducting a recruitment exercise and urging the public to engage with them. We wish to state emphatically that GPHA is not conducting any recruitment exercise at this time, and the authority has not authorized any individuals or entities to advertise or facilitate such activities on its behalf. We urge the general public to disregard these fraudulent messages and to verify any official communication directly through our authorized channels. GPHA remains committed to transparency and will always communicate legitimate opportunities through its official website and recognized media platforms. Welcome back to Iron Port. Iron Port is powered by Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA. And remember, you can be part of this conversation. The number to send in your comments, ideas, suggestions, 053803 7353 0538037353. Send in your comments. If you have any questions, send in on the topic for discussion, and we have all the answers for you. As I indicated earlier, this segment will explore the key constraints facing Africa's agro-supply chains, the role of ports and shipping and resolving them, and the policy, investment and technology interventions needed to ensure that farmers and agribusiness can connect efficiently to both regional and international markets. So welcome on board Philip Abayori, who is president of the Ghana Agricultural Chamber of Commerce, and Edward Kariwe, who is the director for Policy and Advocacy Legal Entrepreneurship Hub, Let's Hub. Gentlemen, you are graciously welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for coming. But I think that just to put this discussion on the right perspective, we just have to look at what really are the challenges facing Africa's agricultural supply chain. I think Mr. Barry will start that for us.
Yeah. The trade in Africa, if you look at the trade, total trade volume is supposed to be $1.28 trillion.
Okay.
And that is the trade that we have.
Can you push it closer? Yes.
And Africa itself, intertrade is $1.29 billion. That tells you that we are not trading among ourselves. And the whole total world trade is 32 billion, and our trade is 1.28 billion. That is global trade with Africa.
Okay.
And we are trading among ourselves 192 billion. The reason being that lack of interconnectivity. Our rail systems are not connecting. Our road network interconnectivity is not enhanced. And our current system of transportation is cross-border is so complicated, and making goods and services movement a little restricted, though we have a policy of integration. That is not so much happening. Couple of bad road network interconnectivity, lack of storage systems along border routes. Major road transport is what is really being enhanced. So the rail transport is absent, even if it's not totally enhanced. And you know, it makes cost high. So that is one of the issues, our lack of inland ports, where at least we should have been able to consolidate goods and transport by rail in bulk to reduce the cost. And a little bureaucratic custom systems. And that is what the issue currently is. So it's making our intertrade, not so much as it should be. We look at our trade with China, about almost 262 billion. With the United States, about 156 or 150. And our trade, total trade with the United States, about $70 billion. That shows that something is not happening.
Yeah.
And with a continent of about 1.5 billion people, we have a huge market among ourselves that we should be able to trade and then ensure that we develop faster. But if you look at our trade among ourselves, very low, and our trade to outside, and that is basically raw material. These products we are trading are not, they're no value addition. And that is also something that we need to look at least to work on, so that at least our goods and services will be increased, because definitely we have raw and we have processed. And that is where the challenge is, and we are not able to really have a massive impact in the global trade. So that is the issue that is confronting us in our African countries. I know agriculture is our main stake. When it looks at all, you look at all the GDP within the African communities, it's all agriculture. And because of this situation, we are not able to do mass productivity, because once we start improving productivity and increasing and the logistics are not there, then it becomes counterproductive. So what needs to be done is a united front with the African countries to look at the rail network to connect us, to also look at some systems, e-customs, to ensure that at least we have systems that are faster enough for trucks not to stay in the port for 2 days, 3 days on transit. We should have a system that will allow us a container scanning system. The truck comes in and it is cleared, scanned, and it moves within 2 minutes. And we need to expand our border areas, improve the facilities there, so that at least we are able to do things efficiently. Harmonize our custom system to ensure that our documentation is done digitally, so that there are no delays in the transit points.
For turnaround time, I can confidently say that GPHA is doing very well in that area. But of course, how do these bottlenecks affect farmers? How does it affect importation of, when we are talking about African produce globally?
Well, thanks very much, and thanks to those who are watching us. Well, trade is one thing that connects people. Is from one location to another location, and that is the essence of trade. Without trade, production will just remain where it is, and it cannot reach where it is most needed. Now, if you look at agricultural produce, they are perishable and they are also bulky. So they are delicate in nature. Some of them cannot even survive beyond 2 days. If you take the vegetables, some of them are so tender. You take the flowers, they are so tender. You talk about the tomatoes, they are so tender. So you can see that whenever there's a challenge with the supply chain, which Mr. Bayor has indicated about infrastructure, road network, there's no functioning railway system, and so on, to connect, producers to what? Consumers, then you can see that there's going to be heavy losses for farmers, and that cannot make the industry expand. If you also take Africa, it's a paradox, We are closer to each other, yet we are far away from each other.
True.
To cross the border alone from one country to another is a big challenge, even human beings. The way they will scrutinize you, sometimes extort things from you, and so on, frustrate you. Now, the other thing is, how do we, for instance, if Ghana Standards Board certify a product that this is certified in Ghana, will it also be accepted in another country in Africa, that once it has been certified in Ghana, then it is okay? So you see that we have duplication, multiplicities of standards which are not harmonized, and then all add up to delays and then also cost. You see, and it leads to frustrations. Time loss is very, very important. It's a huge cost when it comes to production, when it comes to transporting what you have produced to the consumers. So you can see that at the end of the day, even though Africa is closer to each other, African countries, our borders are closer, we are one people, we cross and come, yet when it comes to trade, we are not doing much because there's a lot of bureaucracy. And when you do not digitalize the system, then the bureaucracy, functions much, and it leads to certain malfeasance and then misconduct by those who are in charge of this system. We have been hearing of complaints traders are complaining of how they sometimes border officials delay them unduly and so on. If it were digitalized, then you can see that most of these bottlenecks will be taken off, and then we'll have a better system to operate with.
Ms. Abari rightly indicated how there are delays at transit, during transit, also shipping delays, generally. Which of these produce, let's talk about the vulnerable ones. I mean, you talked about tomatoes, you talked about some of them that are very vulnerable.
Well, if you look at tomatoes and even the vegetables, if you are even exporting, say, pineapples, and you get to the Tema port, they are supposed to be put in a certain temperature.
Which we do have.
Which we do have. Is it the case for other African countries? Probably no. And we know it is no. And to what extent can we guarantee that if produce of that nature is coming from Nigeria or is coming from another country to Ghana, they will certainly be within the same temperature. But what it also means is that it means we need to invest so much. Fortunately for us in Ghana, there's so much investment in improving our infrastructure. I know this whole thing about the ports and the trade is about the turnaround. How containers, how long do they stay at the port before they leave? Or when they are even coming in, goods are coming in, how long do they stay? We know that there's a grace period for imports. You bring in the goods, they give you some either 5 days or 1 week or whatever. Within that period, all your documentation is expected to be done so that you pick your goods within that period. Unfortunately, sometimes we hear that importers are unable to clear their goods, and then because of the documentation and then the processing delays, then there are delays, and when there are delays, then it leads to demurrage where they have to pay. All that increases the cost. So another thing has to do with how do we structure. We need to create a very efficient system for the different products. Since agricultural products are very perishable, they must be given a certain priority, at the ports, so that when they are coming in and when they are going out, so that the turnaround with them can be shorter. There are some products they can delay. The only thing that can happen to them is probably the demurrage, and if not that, they will not get spoiled. But when it comes to agricultural produce, the longer they stay, the more you are likely to get them wasted.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just like you spoke about the connectivity, the farmers have their produce, they've harvested. How does the inland or hinterland connectivity affect exportation of this produce we're talking about? Because if the produce do not come from the farm, it will not even have the opportunity to be packaged, talk less of it being exported.
Good. See, from the farm gate, the farmer has produce in the community and he's keeping the products. These products will now have to travel to a market. And from the market, it is purchased and moved to wherever it's supposed to be traded, perhaps export to a warehouse. Now, from the farm gate, the roads need to be, perfect. The roads need to be enhanced so that at least smooth, drive pass to the marketplace or to wherever the warehouses are. When the conditions of roads are bad, what happens is that you're going to have post-harvest losses. The damages in the transportation through transit, you damage a lot of the products. That's why we have post-harvest losses in 40% of total cargo. You understand? But if you have an efficient system, when the product is being harvested by the farmer, it should have gone to a warehouse, not a farmer's house. So there it is if it's a coal, if it needs to be put in a coal system, there are warehouses. If it needs to be put dry cargo, it's there. And then it's packaged and then transported directly to another warehouse or to a port. But if you look at from the farm gate to the market, and then from there to the port, you're going to have some distortions in quality. You understand? And that is why sometimes it's very difficult to harmonize the standards.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the infrastructure to be able to, to do certain things, then your neighbor will think that you don't have the capacity to do. So what we need to do is that look at those coal value systems and also warehouses in transit, where if a product is going to come from another country into Ghana, at the port, there is a facility that takes all that produce in there with customs and everything. It is checked with Food and Drugs Board and Ghana Standard Board, and and before it will move from that center, it has already been cleared. So once it gets to the Tema port, it's documentation. But if you want to wait for that product to come to the Tema port, definitely they want to inspect the cargo. They want to make sure that what you brought is what is supposed to be, because all those things also culminate into the delays in being able to export, because we have a rigorous, regulation that if they carry anything that is not supposed to be and they don't check very well, they'll be surcharged.
Definitely.
So it's something that needs to be done within the production area to wherever it's supposed to be. Granted, it's not even a perishable product, and it has to come, into the country. Now, once it stays on the way for more than about almost a week on truck transport, you could walk. When you drive through the road, you can see that some bags are falling off.
Yeah.
You understand? But if it is real, what will happen is that you can put, let's say, 1,000 or 2,000 tons at once on one rail carriage, and from one border to another border, it will be delivered. But in trucks, you are going to take 60 or 40 tons. So with 1,000 tons, you may need not less than about almost 20 trucks to ply on the roads. And that's why we have issues of these roads being damaged. So Africa, we need to enhance our rail transport. Look at where we have to also use water transport, because there you could carry goods massively. We went to, in July, we were in Canada, Saskatoon, and we're trying to see whether we can sell Ghanaian products because there's demand for our products. And we're looking for a warehouse to ship our products there and redistribute.
Yeah.
So we have to talk to some cargo people. So we got to know that if you're going to put things in, let's say, in Montreal or Toronto and bring to Saskatoon, and you put it in a supermarket, the prices are the same.
Okay. Wow.
But if you transport something here and take it to Navrongo, you go to Navrongo, the cement price is different. So I find out why.
Yeah.
And they said they're looking at volumes of trade, what they are going to move to the southern sector. So if they have a total of this quantity, they've done their calculations, so they don't need to add more. You understand? So when you have a harmonized, centralized system which takes volumes, the cost
will reduce.
Cost of freight is reduced. I give a shipment where we bring in things and we also ship. If you're going to ship about 5,000 tons of product to Europe, and you have about 50,000 tons, you know how many 5,000 tons capacity ships you need to use.
Yeah.
But if you bring a 25,000 metric ton ship or 50,000 ton metric ton ship, and you load this cargo, it's still the same cost as the 5,000, or maybe it will even be cheaper, but it's the same cargo.
Yeah.
You understand? So if we are able to enhance and harmonize our systems and ensure that we have that interconnectivity, then our citizens too will even enjoy low cost of products, because definitely the cost comes from logistic cost and transportation. And then we'll be competitive in the global market, because when we export, other continents and countries are exporting. So we should be able to have a very good price and then also have quality. So this all needs investment. Investment in our logistic systems, investment in our road network, and investment in so many things, that even harmonization of the customs system, using technology to be able to enhance everything, to make things easier and cheaper.
Yeah.
And that will be a fair deal for us to be able to enter into a global trade market of almost 32 billion, whilst we are only enhancing 1.28 billion.
That's quite interesting. But do we have enough storage facilities? Like we spoke about the transportation system, which really affects how the stuff come from the farm gate, even to be packaged, to be exported. But let's look at the storage facilities in Africa. At the port, at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, we have a whole section that stores, it has a refrigerator that stores all these perishable goods. But in other ports, do we have such facilities that will make sure that these perishable goods that we're talking about, tomatoes and all those that do not stay for long, do we have those storage facilities especially the cold chains, to ensure that they stay safe for quite some time so that they don't perish?
Well, if you take Ghana, our ports are among the best in Africa. And then because we have also invested so much in modernizing them and expanding them, that is not the case with other African countries. And as you just indicated, you must have specialized facilities for particular goods. And Ghana has done that. Sure. What about the other countries? For instance, and apart from the ports, we also need to have the inland ports or some depots. If you take Ghana and Burkina Faso, it is possible to have somewhere within the border at Paga or somewhere where we can have very good facilities either across Burkina Faso or in Ghana, where in transit those goods can be safe and then they will not, deteriorate in value.
Yeah.
This is our main problem in Africa because we have not invested much in this infrastructure. Storage is major because once you produce beyond what you can consume now, the next moment is to store.
Yeah.
Either for a day or 2 or 3. And you can take our plantain. How do we store it even for 1 week, just for domestic consumption? Sure. So if you are then going to export it, and it has to come from the hinterland to the port, what facilities do we have? And at what point do we store it so that we can collect it together before we now bring it to the port? So you can see that we don't have adequate storage facilities. And when we are also talking about storage facilities, it shouldn't be the generic one. It's not just about a room or space that you just go and put it there. It must be appropriate. Tomato, you cannot store tomato in the same conditions like maize.
Yeah.
Because the maize room may be warm. You even need to raise the temperature in the maize room to get it more dry.
Okay.
But you cannot use the same room facilities for tomatoes because tomato needs to be cooled.
Yeah.
You need a cool room and so on. We don't have this. What we always talk about is storage is that we think, there's a space where you can put the goods there. And it's not all the goods. Some of them cannot even stay together.
Yeah.
You can't put tomatoes and maize together.
So
if you talk about storage for maize, it's not enough. You must have storage for what? Tomatoes. And this is also part of the reason why we are not trading much among ourselves. And it needs, if you look at trade is designed in such a way that there must be collaboration between the partners.
Yes.
Well, you are trading with another country or other countries. So there must be understanding and agreement on certain values and certain measures. And then each country should be required to build certain infrastructure. You can see that within ECOWAS, we are talking about the ECOWAS roads, from Nigeria to all the way to Ghana, and then to Cote d'Ivoire, and then to Burkina Faso and all that. You see that this is a very laudable agreement. And also because we have different regions in Ghana. Within the ECOWAS region, we may have a common, agreement as to how we should trade among ourselves and build infrastructure. What about ECOWAS region with the other regions of Africa? What is the common agreement so far as trade is concerned? So you can see that even if you can trade among yourselves in ECOWAS, it may be possible to break into another region in Africa because our trading regime, our facilities, our rules, and the rest are not the same as that of the other region, which we need to harmonize. So these are the things that, and of course, our produce should be able to travel to any part of Africa. Tomato produced in Ghana can go to any place. Plantain produced in Ghana can go to any part of Africa. But if you look at our current system, where we have poor roads, we have no functioning railways linking one country to another, certainly you can just see that it will become very difficult to export plantain, fresh plantain, to another country unless it is by air. You see, and the time period is short.
Yeah.
So there are so many factors, but then we must start at country level.
Yeah.
First and foremost, every country has a responsibility to make sure that it reduces cost of its production. And then, beyond that, first you produce for yourself. and then the rest for export.
Yep.
You see?
True.
So you must have the infrastructure that, keeps your own produce and sell it as and when you want. Again, we are, because of lack of storage, we don't have the produce all the time. And shipping, as Mr. Bayo indicated, depending on the volumes, if the volumes are not enough, it will be a waste to carry some few containers and go to another country when the ship could take many containers.
Yeah, sure.
So once the season is over, then you could see that you don't have the volumes for the ship to pick. And then, therefore, you cannot export again because the volumes are not there. Just because you are unable to store the produce during the peak season so that it can be used during the lean season. So you can see that trade will be disorganized, and then it will be good during the peak season, and then during the lean season, then you have low trade.
And what this does is that it affects your profit margin and also increases cost, because if you're unable to export, that means that your calculations for the year did not materialize. Let me announce the numbers that you can also call to contribute to this discussion. Is 0245 834980, 0245 834980. But Mr. Kariwe, I was happy that you spoke about cost. Okay, if you look at freight cost in Africa, it's almost always expensive compared to other countries. Why is it so?
Well, the issues are just simple. It has to do with technology. If you are able to improve, technology makes things less costly. It also it makes things efficient and effective. So if your technology is low and it's not up to date, then of course it will affect your efficiency, and then it will create cost for you. That's one. The other one has to do with harmonization of policies. There's so much bureaucracy. You go through Ghana's own internal bureaucracies to certify your goods and then to be exported. Then it gets to another country within Africa, then you go through a similar or even a worse bureaucracy. At the end of the day, it creates all this cost. That's how the cost is created. And again, mode of payment, how do we pay? Do I carry my CDs to Nigeria to pay? Do I go and take safer to pay, or whatever? There must be a common, payment system that is easy for everybody to move into. If you look at Ghana, the internal payment system, we have come to agree or accept Momo and all that, those monies, the telcos we use to pay.
Okay.
Do we have the same with Africa? So if I'm just trying to pay money to Mr. Bayo, who is in another country, for the goods, can I easily do that? You see, even if there's the facility, how easy is it accessible? All these things need to be brought down. If they are not brought down, then they all add up to the cost. That is why trading among ourselves is more costly than even sometimes trading with other continents, which should not be the case. But it's something that we just need to. It can't come overnight. We just need to make the necessary investment and then have the necessary collaborations. We sometimes talk that we are one, we want to integrate, we want to do this. But we need real, action on that and real investment. Ghana to Burkina Faso, up to now, we don't still have a railway. How do you think that up? Even within the country, let's talk that from the northern part to Accra, no railway. Foodstuffs are getting rotten there. How many articulators are going to move on this route to the north? How many days does it take? The risk of them, falling on the way is very high.
Yep.
If it were we had a functioning railway, it will reduce all that cost. So at the end of the day, you realize that costs will come down. So there's no easy way at all. And that is why whenever you are engaged in trade, and particularly international trade, you must have a very good industrial policy so that you know what you want to do. So if we want to export, we say that, look, we want to industrialize make our railway system efficient. Once you now make the railway system efficient, then it goes to promote what? Trade.
Okay.
But if the railway system is not efficient, you will find it very difficult to promote trade when you have not industrialized. If our roads are very terrible and you cannot ride from here to other to the rural areas, then of course trade will become very expensive.
And definitely the other inefficiencies are with the custom processes and border clearance. And I'll be talking about that to you, Mr. Abayori. Let me pick Andrews from Dansuma, who is on the line. Andrews, thank you so much for calling us. You are on Iron Port.
Oh, cool.
Hello, Andrew.
Hello, yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for your time, and then good evening to your panelists. What you are discussing is very good and important. And what I wanted to say is, with the border issue that the man is talking about, I was just coming from Nigeria some few days ago, and you need to get everywhere, stop everywhere, even though now the checking of goods is not too much like first. Like when you have to bring everything down for them to check because of maybe drug issue or what. So if we have free border trade or free entry, why people with goods, like he's saying, not, have some special, maybe some documentation attached to whatever they are sending, like the tomato, those perishable goods, if you have to be moved from one place to the other, so that it will reduce this spoilage and all that. That's what I want to say, please.
Thank you very much, Andrew, for your contribution. And he just, corroborated what you just mentioned. I'm talking about inefficiencies with custom processes and border clearance. I mean, how does that contribute to delays and extra costs, Mr. Abayori?
Before then, I want this one point you was making, and I want to clarify it.
Okay.
Because you asked about the costs element of our freight. I wanted to chip in before we move.
Okay.
See, the reason why in Africa we have the high costs of freight is just very simple. All the containers that come to us, at least 90% of them go back empty.
Okay.
If the shippers will tell you, you engage them very soon, they will let you know that all the ships that load containers and come to Africa, 90% of them are gone. Just like you bring a vehicle from the north and go empty. If you are going to charge somebody to bring his goods, what will you do? Won't you double it?
You will double it.
That is why you are paying high freight.
And I think it's goes into the fact that at the end of the day, you don't have a lot of produce to export. So that means you have to pay more and then gain less.
Yeah, so that's why if you look at the trade, I told you 1.26 trillion, and we're only doing about 192 billion ourselves, among ourselves, while this is our big trade, only enjoying 15% of our own trade.
Yeah.
So that is what the consequences of it. So that is why demurrage is also an issue. Because and then they are deliberately even making the demurrage come more because they know definitely they have to use those monies to be able to buy fuel and put back the ship and send back the ships.
So you say the shipping lines are deliberately doing that?
I've engaged them, where I sit, we've engaged them on issues. And then they will tell you it's not deliberate because if they give you their cost to be able to fuel board those huge ships back, it is a tragedy. And they tell us that, look, all these are your containers. You understand? I've engaged my shipping line, we've engaged Costco, and on issues on our trade. And they tell us, look, if we remove this demurrage for you, so we then have to tell them we are bringing export. Then you see that they are very flexible because they know that if they get the exports, they will mitigate their cost. So what we need to try to do now is to increase our exports. By producing exportable commodities, both perishable and non-perishable, push the exports. Upon all the circumstances, we can use the systems we have to push the exports. When we do that, it will bring our freight costs down. You understand? And it also helps us to also stabilize our foreign exchange. Now, you talked about bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is there when things are not done properly. Like I said earlier on, if you have your produce and you are bringing them to the port, or you are bringing them for export, you know there are documentations that need to be done. You make sure that your documentation are done and you have all the requisite, everything is done, and inspection is done immediately. Your products will move.
Yeah.
But if you don't do things right and you get to the port, you don't expect them, because you know in some of the countries what happens is that when you export anything into that country and then it's not the right standards, what happens is that you have to pay back for them to destroy it. You understand? Which also is counterproductive. That means the country is losing. So all we need to do is that with the perishable produce from farm gate, we need to have pack houses in communities where even, for public good, they are even created by the state, so that everybody who, want to export, we can carry our produce there, store them in appropriate temperatures. Then we have other transport systems. We need to have those transport systems which will reefer transport, which will carry the cold chain. We cannot be using, transportation. Transportation, we have various transportation. Transportation for livestock is different. Transportation for coal, vegetables and etc. is different. Transportation for grain is different. In our case, sometimes the transportation is the same, which is not approved.
Yeah.
So we need now, since we have signed this African Continental Trade Partnership Agreement, we have the Economic Partnership Agreement with the Europeans and etc. And for our own common goods, start to look at these logistics and separate them. You understand? Where you have grain transportation, you have your livestock transportation, because all this also enhance. If you don't do it very well, you are going to have contaminants, you are going to have bad products because there will be contamination. Especially in the perishables, we need to transport them in cold systems. So this must be done so that at least we can get value for money, we can reduce our post-harvest losses, we can get the best quality products for high demand. So these are all challenges that need to be mitigated. I know it's very difficult sometimes for us to say government should do it, but we can look some of this at build, operate, and transfer, where investors can come and invest, they build, operate. And don't forget that we, the producers, we are paying for the service. It's not for free. The agribusiness practitioners, it's our business. We will pay, you understand. There could even be collaborations in some kind of joint arrangement. Once the market is there,
yeah.
It gives encouragement for the investors to come and then put those facilities where, after some years they can be transferred. So that at least we try, because government alone, I don't think can build all these things, but because we are in it and want it done, we will also want to do our contribution. Because our contribution is what we produce more to make it more feasible for it to become a business.
So now that brings us to the solutions to all these problems we're talking about. And I'm asking about technological solutions, digital platforms, cargo tracking, e-customs. How can all of these technologies help solve the problem we're facing? And of course, I got a WhatsApp from one of our viewers who also asked similar question. He said, hello, Mr. Kariwe, you mentioned that technology will make freight costs cheaper for Africans. If I got you right, in which way, sir? And it's coming from Bright Bewa from Tesano. So we're talking about technological solutions.
Well, the issues are two. The major challenges are two. One has to do with infrastructure, which is physical infrastructure. And then we also have the soft, infrastructure, which has to do with technology. And technology also comes in different forms. When you get to the ports, and then it is automated. Certain things they are automated. Once you key in, then it rolls on easily.
So I have 1 minute, so just wrap it up for me.
So automation. So you can do that. And then the other one is to payment system. Payment system is one thing too. You don't need to carry money. You don't need to do that. That payment system must also be easy. Yeah. And again, you don't need to physically be available before you conduct some of the businesses. You should be able to go online and have all the information that you need. You key in all that. Then it is already being processed whilst the goods are on the way.
Yeah.
Not that you now get there and you have to physically interact with somebody to begin the process. These are some of the things that can improve the trade.
I'm grateful, gentlemen, for your time. Edward Kariwe is Director for Policy and Advocacy, Legal Entrepreneurship Hub, Let's Hub. and Philip Abayori is President, Ghana Agricultural Chamber of Commerce. I think that we would continue to have these discussions to ensure that we improve on our transportation because, I mean, food, we all enjoy our foods, and if they don't come from the farmlands, you and I will go hungry. I can't stand it because I like food. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Enjoy the rest of your evening.